September 14th, 1959, a date that holds its own mark in the history of mankind's journey to space. A day when everyone had their eyes peeled to the night sky, bursting with anticipation to see the results of humans launching a spacecraft into space. Today, on a day like this back, the day Luna 2 crashed onto the moon's surface, let's take a step back, rewind the reels of time and paint a picture of 1959. This was the era of madmen in the US, and rebel rousers like the Beatles were just getting started in the UK. But if you look more closely, you'll see that another, different kind of competition was heating up, one that extended far beyond the surface of our Earth. This wasn't war, but rather a technological race for global prestige where the finish line was literally out of this world. Yep, you guessed it. We're talking about the infamous space race. The main contenders, the United States on one side, and the Soviet Union on the other, like two boxers in a ring, except this ring was the vast expanse of space. In terms of space exploration, 1959 was an exciting era. Both superpowers had already launched satellites into space, starting with the Sputnik 1 by the Soviets in 1957, followed shortly by Explorer 1 from the Americans in 1958. However, no one had yet succeeded in reaching another celestial body, our closest neighbor, the Moon. That's where our main character enters the scene, Luna 2. So, as the two superpowers were stressing their brains to win this massive race in space, the Soviets had a brainwave. They put forth the Luna program, or the Dreamer as I like to call it. Why, you ask? Well, the objectives of this program were so monumental, so daring, it was sheer audacity to dream of such a thing in that era. The prime goal? To get to the Moon. Yeah, you heard that right. The Soviets planned to send a spacecraft to our closest celestial neighbor, uncharted territory at the time. But they weren't content with just cruising around and coming back. The Luna program aimed to crash land on the Moon, collect data, and send it back to Earth. But as with any dream worth dreaming, there were hiccups along the way. Luna 1, launched earlier in 1959, was supposed to make its home on the Moon's surface. Alas, while Luna 1 did create history by becoming the first man-made object to reach the vicinity of the Moon, it was a swing and a miss as it failed to impact the lunar surface. But hey, if there's anything that history teaches us, it's that we learn from our failures more than our successes, right? And that's exactly what happened. The Soviet scientists made some tweaks and adjustments and returned to the drawing board. They went back to work with renewed determination and persistence because they knew achieving this would mean a significant step for mankind. And their hard work bore fruit with the launch of Luna 2. Picture this. It's September 12, 1959 on a Soviet launch pad. Tensions are high and excitement is even higher as an enormous rocket holding Luna 2 readies for takeoff. The countdown begins, the crowd holds its breath, and then, blast off. Luna 2 soars into the sky on the road less traveled. A journey filled with both immense risks and potential rewards, off to make history. A truly grounded spacecraft about to spend its short lifespan revealing secrets from our enigmatic neighbor and feeding our ever-insatiable curiosity about the cosmos. So Luna 2 is now hurtling through the vast, unending black expanse of space, a solitary envoy from Earth on a historic voyage. It's a daring adventure, one that had never been embarked upon before, and to say things were tense back on the ground would be an understatement. You see, during Luna 2's flight, which lasted about 36 hours, not that long by our standards today, but bear in mind the remarkable leap such a journey represented back then, the spacecraft was continuously transmitting signals back to Earth. This data was crucial. It was not only about navigating Luna 2 to its target, but also about our understanding of the cosmos. These signals carried information about radiation levels in outer space, among other things. Now remember, this is the late 50s. Technology was not as developed as it is today. Each moment of that flight was filled with suspense. Would Luna 2 reach the Moon? Would it be able to transmit data before impact? As we know today, history was indeed written in the starry canvas of space by this unassuming spacecraft. On September 14th, Luna 2 dramatically crashed onto the Moon's surface in a region known as the Sea of Serenity. Admittedly, a somewhat ironically peaceful place for such a violent ending. And why, you might ask, would anyone plan for their spacecraft, one that took lots of effort and resources to build and launch, to crash? Good question. You see, Luna 2 was purposely designed for a hard landing. This approach allowed the Soviets to confirm that they'd reached the Moon and remove any doubts or disputes from competing nations. But more than that, Luna 2's hard impact was part of its mission. Attached to the spacecraft were two small spheres packed with pentagonal emblems of the Soviet Union. Upon impact, these spheres were thrown onto the lunar surface, representing the first human-made objects on the Moon. What Luna 2 achieved was more than just a successful moon landing. It symbolized a significant move in chess that was the space race, putting considerably more pressure on the US to make their own landing. It was a statement, an assertion, and in some ways, a provocation. The Luna 2 represented a hope for an unbound future, a future where space wasn't just something to gaze upon in wonderment, but a terrain to be explored and understood. The relentless human pursuit of knowledge in its purest form, and its success brought space exploration into an arena of possibilities, whispering to humanity's collective ears, outer space is within our grasp. Essentially, it marked the dawn of a new era, one where humans were not confined to the limitations of our planet. No longer was the moon a distant dream, it became reachable, signaling that perhaps, just perhaps, we had taken our very first step towards becoming an interplanetary species. Now imagine you live in 1959, and you are waking up one morning to the news that a man-made object just landed on the moon. There'd be disbelief, awe, and of course, excitement for what this meant for humanity's future. That was exactly the kind of reaction the Luna 2 mission invoked worldwide when the news hit the stands. All around the globe, people were attempting to wrap their heads around this mind-boggling achievement. The Soviets were naturally over the moon, pun fully intended. This was a moment of incredible national pride and a significant victory in showcasing their technological prowess amidst the Cold War rivalry. As for the rest of the world, particularly in America, it was a wake-up call that they were trailing behind in this space race. This rivalry's narrative wasn't about creating tensions, it was about spurring each other on to achieve more, push the boundaries further, and dive deeper into an untapped world of cosmic existence. The aftermath of Luna 2's successful mission hurled the space race into a higher gear. The United States could no longer afford complacency. Simultaneously, it prompted a wave of interest in space exploration among young minds around the globe, igniting their imaginations and fueling their dreams with the thrilling realm of endless possibilities that space exploration promised. On the more technical side, the success of Luna 2 led to increasingly audacious missions. The Soviets continued with their Luna program, next aiming not just to reach the moon, but to capture images of its far side, something that had never been seen before by human eyes. And they succeeded with Luna 3 barely a month later after Luna 2's success. It took the first ever pictures of the moon's dark side, further solidifying the USSR's primacy in the space race. The Americans were not sitting idly by either. Emboldened by the exploits of their rivals, they forged ahead with their missions. The Luna 2 mission served as a catalyst for NASA's Ranger program, instilling an urgent sense of purpose. Such advances paved the way for milestones like Apollo landing on the moon a decade later, arguably one of humanity's greatest achievements. Advancements infiltrated further than just the American and Soviet programs. It sparked a global interest and a flurry of space programs in other countries, reshaping the scientific community and redefining global cooperation in science and technology. National boundaries seemed insignificant in the face of this vast, unseen expanse of space waiting to be explored. In this regard, Luna 2 not only opened up the moon, but it also opened up our Earth to collaborations and shared space endeavors like never before. So why does Luna 2's crash onto the moon's surface still matter today? Because this wasn't just a moment in history. It was the moment that transformed the way we looked at our universe, the moment that emboldened humanity to hone new horizons, pushing the boundaries of what we perceived as possible. Today, as we talk about setting foot on Mars, even terraforming it for human colonization, or as we dream of exploring far-off galaxies, remember where it all began. It began with dreams like landing a spacecraft on the moon, which at one point seemed inconceivable. So looking back at Luna 2 and its historic impact on the moon is not just about recalling facts and dates. It's about celebrating the audacity to dream big, acknowledging the curiosity that fueled our progress, and appreciating the resilience to pick ourselves up after failures. Isn't it amazing how far we've come since that momentous day in September 1959? From the first crash landing on an alien world, to humans walking on lunar soil, to rovers exploring Mars, what a journey it has been, and who knows where tomorrow might take us. I would love to hear what you think. Were you aware of Luna 2's journey and how influential this single event has been? Maybe you've some cool knowledge bits to share about this day that I forgot to mention. This is your space to share your thoughts, so go ahead and drop a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe. Keep exploring, keep discovering, and I'll see you next time for another event that happened on a day like this.